In this IDShield review, you're going to see what this identity theft protection solution offers for personal information monitoring and fraud resolution. I'll share my experiences as a customer of IDShield and show you where it stands among the 7 identity theft protection solutions I've used. I obviously can't edit this video once it's been published, but you can see my latest recommendations and links to any deals that I have in the description of this video. IDShield has a lot going for it, but the interface is a bit clunky and it leaves me with a couple of gripes that hold it back from being one of my favorites. There are definitely worse options out there, some of which you may be familiar with, but there are better options too. My personal favorite right now is Aura. They offer comprehensive packages at a competitive price, especially if you want to get coverage for your parents, your in-laws, and your kids. Whether you've been a victim of identity theft in the past, or you're just being proactive about keeping your identity safe, you're headed in the right direction by taking interest in identity theft protection. Let's open the kimono and see what's going on with IDShield under the hood. My first gut check with any identity theft protection company is the quality of their customer support team. If you think that's lame, imagine what it would be like to call up your cell phone provider on the day that some identity thief opens a new credit card in your name. Now, maybe your cell phone provider's customer support's not that bad. Maybe it's great, but I'm sure you've had a bad customer support experience before, so hopefully you catch my drift. When I had to call IDShield for clarity on my dark web alerts, I was greeted with a US-based agent who was knowledgeable of my problem and got it sorted out quickly and efficiently. The agent even went beyond that and guided me through the steps to set up my credit monitoring and gave me the direct line to reach her if I encountered any issues. On top of being super professional, the agent was super friendly and pleasant. It was definitely a positive experience. While most of the identity theft protection companies I've worked with have excellent customer support teams, you do have to be careful. There's one very well-known company out there whose customer support team is just bad, for lack of a better word. Customer support is just the first aspect of threat resolution, and we'll come back to that later in this video. But for now, let's shift over to monitoring. With any identity theft protection solution, personal information monitoring all starts by entering the personal information that you want to monitor. Mind-blowing, I know! And IDShield allows you to monitor quite a few different types of personal information. Of course, there are your standard fields like email addresses, telephone numbers, and your SSN. But they even allow you to monitor things like your employer ID number, cryptocurrency wallets, and gamer tags. It's quite extensive, and they're definitely up there with companies like Aura and Identity Guard in terms of how many types of personal information they allow you to monitor. And they don't actually list any limitations on how many of each type of personal information you can monitor, but I haven't hit any ceilings yet. Whereas with companies like LifeLock and Complete ID, the number of email addresses you can monitor is somewhat limiting. They only allow you to monitor 5 and 4 email addresses respectively, and that doesn't cover all of mine. Once you've added the information you want to monitor, IDShield will be able to start performing their scans and sending you alerts if they come across anything of interest. Now, I haven't seen that they submit any opt-out requests with data brokers on your behalf to reduce junk mail, robocalls, and email spam like you get with Aura and Identity Guard. And furthermore, I don't see them monitoring the public web to alert you where your information is available in the first place if you want to submit opt-out requests on your own like you get with LifeLock. But as for the most important scans, they do offer either 1 or 3 bureau credit monitoring, but if you want monitoring with all 3 bureaus, that is Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, you will have to pay a bit extra. Credit monitoring is important because if there are any inquiries from lenders like credit card companies, car dealers, or mortgage brokers, you'll get an alert. So if someone opens a credit card in your name or takes out a car loan or whatever it may be, you can act fast and nip it in the bud. I don't see any utility account monitoring with IDShield, so if someone opens an electric service in your name, for example, I'm not sure they would pick that up. But they do offer public record monitoring, so a typical example is if someone tries to add their name to your home deed, you'll get an alert for that. They offer address monitoring so that you'll get an alert if someone tries to redirect your mail with the USPS. They do this to gain access to things like your bills and your pay stubs, which they can use for all sorts of identity theft. And IDShield offers court records monitoring so that you can get alerts if someone puts your name down for an arrest, for example. And most importantly to a lot of people, IDShield plans include dark web monitoring. We'll go over what they turn up from my personal information on the dark web later in this video, but let's dig a bit deeper into credit monitoring. As I mentioned earlier, IDShield's baseline plan only includes 1 bureau credit monitoring. But worth noting is that it does include monthly credit score tracking by providing your VantageScore from TransUnion. If you'd like more robust protection by monitoring all 3 of the major bureaus continuously, you have the option of upgrading your plan. However, from what I can tell, even if you upgrade your plan, you're still only getting monthly VantageScores from TransUnion, rather than from all 3 bureaus. Furthermore, you don't get access to annual credit reports from any of the bureaus pulled into your dashboard. Of course, you can head over to annualcreditreport.com and get them yourself, but a lot of the other identity theft protection companies take care of that for you. And while IDShield will provide assistance with setting up freezes with the credit bureaus, you don't have access to a credit lock to prevent unwanted inquiries into your credit file with the click of a button. For comparison, with Aura and Complete ID, all of this is included on all of the plans that they offer. That is 3 bureau credit monitoring, monthly credit scores and annual credit reports from all 3 bureaus, and a credit lock. But IDShield does offer payday loan monitoring in addition to credit monitoring. So if someone takes out a short-term loan using your SSN, you'll get an alert so that you can track it down right away. And while we're on the topic of finances, like most of the other companies, IDShield plans include financial account monitoring so that you can link bank accounts, credit cards, and investment accounts and monitor them for suspicious activity all in one place. And you can take it one step further and set up transaction thresholds so you'll get an alert if there are any charges or withdrawals over a certain dollar amount that you specify. Now I apologize, I know I'm chewing into the clock here, but please stick with me. We're almost there. I have to address my grievances with IDShield's interface like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, because they do ultimately impact my impression of the product as a whole. What you'll notice pretty quickly upon entering the dashboard with IDShield is that this is no Apple product where they've poured tons of effort into making it clean, pretty, and easy to use. The most apparent way this shows up is that the website is designed in all these different portals. So right away it's a little bit of an annoyance because when you first log into your IDShield account, then you want to go over to your credit and dark web monitoring, you click a button, it opens a new tab, and you gotta sign in again. But beyond the annoyance, the interface actually impacts the usability of the dark web monitoring, which is coming right up. Last thing before we get to that, I want to mention a few other perks IDShield has to offer. Their plans include a VPN, password manager, and anti-malware software to further improve your cybersecurity. I haven't touched them because I use different solutions. And you also get social media monitoring as well as a reputation manager. Not only can this help you identify account takeovers, but you can also use it to improve your reputation online if you're trying to grow a following, for example. So thanks for sticking with me. I know there's a lot to cover when it comes to monitoring, and we'll wrap up with the fun part, dark web monitoring. I always monitor the same personal information across all the identity theft protection solutions I use so that I can make like-for-like comparisons. In the case of LifeLock and Complete ID, which don't allow me to monitor all of my email addresses, I leave out addresses that don't turn up any hits from any of the other companies. So what does IDShield turn up from my personal information on the dark web? I'm sad to tell you, I really can't say for sure. I know for a fact that when I signed up, I had 17 alerts because I wrote that down so I could refer to it later. And I know I've received at least some alerts since then. But once you've cleared your alerts, there's no way to go back and revisit them. So I can't tell you how many of these alerts are unique versus how many of them are from breach compilations, and I can't even tell you what it is that IDShield found. But just to make a comparison, let's say IDShield turns up at least 17 hits for my personal information on the dark web. Examples of poor monitoring would include Identity IQ. They turn up 0 hits for my personal information on the dark web. And Norton's LifeLock turns up a total of 8 dark web hits. All of them are unique though. On the other end of the spectrum, Identity Force turns up the most dark web alerts with 20 total and 10 unique hits, while Aura and Identity Guard turn up 18 total and 9 unique hits. Now, as I always caution, some companies are always finding some hits that others aren't, so it's difficult to say that 20 hits is better than 18, but you can definitely say that 18 to 20 is better than 8. Or 0. I know for a fact that IDShield turns up quite a few hits for my personal information, but the interface really makes this a missed opportunity. For completeness, they do have a mobile app, and maybe it performs better, but honestly I haven't tried it. I'm old, I can't see very well, I have clumsy thumbs, and I already hate how much time I spend with my nose stuffed in my phone. I tried installing the app on my iPad, but it doesn't even turn sideways so I can use it with my keyboard. So let's bring it all home with fraud resolution. I already told you that IDShield has a great customer support team, and they offer 24/7 emergency assistance. Their plans also include guaranteed identity theft restoration and dedicated licensed private investigators should you be a victim of identity theft. Most of the other companies don't say their resolution teams are licensed, some do, but most don't. In terms of financial backing, IDShield plans include $1 million in reimbursement for unrecovered costs, which, the way they word it, sounds a little bit different than the $1 million in identity theft insurance that is a standard minimum offering for most of the other companies. But I can't say for sure. Just to contrast this with Aura, their plans include white glove fraud resolution to do all the heavy lifting in the event that you're a victim of identity theft. And their plans come with up to $1 million in identity theft protection per adult, which is up to $5 million on their family plan. Aura's plans are also more comprehensive and they're cheaper, at least at the time of filming, especially if you pay annually. And that's before you apply my discounts. So I don't think that IDShield is all that bad of a choice. There are definitely worse options out there. And personally, they're not limitations I'd settle with. But whichever company you choose for identity theft protection, remember to check out the video descriptions for my latest recommendations and links to any deals I have. You can also check out my Aura review if you're interested, and I have tons more reviews and comparisons of identity theft protection companies on this channel, and more in the queue, so stay tuned.